Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special lunch with the mayor. Here it's the, what's it, the 29th? 29th of May. Can't believe that we are at the end of May, almost to June, but welcome. We're going to have a special conversation here. This is Kim Erdley, who is our Whitley County Assessor, and I really felt like it was maybe a good opportunity for us to have a conversation about the assessment process, because I think it is something where there's a lot of individuals who, most people don't understand the process, and I think it's what's really important to have the conversation of is the how and the why, right? And so we're going to have that conversation. Thanks for joining us. As always, if you have questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. I will ask. This is obviously assessments, property tax assessments, especially is a highly charged topic. So I would respectfully ask for civility. You guys are always really civil in what you ask and what you do, and so I expect that was going to happen anyways. But again, many times we only see the bill, we don't see what's behind the bill, and so I think that's really, really important. The purpose of today's special video. So again, want to say this really isn't an opportunity to rant, but rather to learn and to ask productive questions. And I appreciate, Kim, you joining me, and I think this is obviously a very apropos topic right now. And so I will go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started. Introduce yourself. So if someone out there doesn't know who Kim Erdley is, who is Kim Erdley?
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely.
Kim Erdley, Whitley County Assessor. As far as me personally, I'm a common person just like anybody else. So just trying to do my job to the best of my ability.
Yep.
And hopefully I can put an understanding or a little bit more understanding
Sure.
to some of the perceptions that might be out there, questions out there right now.
How long have you lived in Columbia City?
15 years.
15 years. Very good. Very good.
Yep.
And you've been the assessor for how long?
Since 2017.
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
Very good. And how did you arrive at your current position? How did you become the assessor? A lot of people don't probably know what the assessor actually does, which we'll get there in a moment, but how did you become the assessor?
Well, I started my career in the county assessor's office up in Noble County.
Okay.
Which was back in 2000.
Mhm.
So I was a deputy assessor there
Oh.
for 12 years,
Gotcha.
and then came to work here in 2012.
Okay.
And was a deputy assessor, then became chief deputy assessor, and then past assessor retired
Mhm.
early, resigned early. We had to have a caucus,
Mhm.
so I was elected by caucus at that time in 2017.
Okay. And then you've been elected one or two other times since then?
I will be elected my third.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, very good. And this is one of those positions that is not term limited, right?
Correct.
So, okay. Why did you want to be the county assessor?
Well, honestly, I didn't.
I was gonna say, it sounds like a bit of a thankless job at times, but.
I did not. It was never my goal, so to say,
Yeah.
to be the county assessor. But with the early resignation of the prior
Yeah.
assessor, which came, obviously a year and a half before
Yeah.
her term was done, I just decided that, this was not a job for me. This was a career that I was
Yeah.
making, and I had very dedicated a lot of years to the
Mhm.
office, and I'm very passionate about what this office does, and so I just decided that I thought it was a calling and it was my time to
Step up.
step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what are the activities of the assessor's office? I talked a little bit earlier of I just don't know that a lot of people know they only know what the assessor's office does around tax time, right?
Yeah.
So what are the full duties, responsibilities, and activities of the assessor's office?
Okay, so, and I don't wanna read word for word here, but, so the assessor's office is responsible, and we maintain all assessment records for real property,
Okay.
which is your land and structures.
Mm-hmm.
All personal property records, which is your business personal property
Mhm.
equipment.
Machines and things like that?
Yep. And then, our annually assessed mobile homes, which are
Okay.
assessed as personal property.
Okay, those are
Aside-
personal property as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep, and so, we're required to give notice on all real property values annually and everything we do is mandated in our statute.
Okay.
Through our assessment guidelines.
Mhm. And that's from the state of Indiana?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so.
Well, most are written in our legislative laws.
Gotcha,
So yes,
okay.
yes. And then the DLGF, the Department of Local Government and
Mhm.
Finance, they're kind of our liaison, so to speak, in handing down the changes that might take place and, giving us some advisement from their, interpreting those things to us when
Gotcha.
changes come. And so from that, the assessor's office is the budgetary cycle.
Mm.
I mean, we start our annual trending every year at January 1 when we start a new year of assessment.
Gotcha.
And that's where we go through and we look at where we are value-wise versus sales.
Okay.
And that is also another mandated process that
Mhm.
we have to go through. That's where we can adjust neighborhood factors based
Yeah.
off what the market is showing us. So it's
Oh.
a market adjustment is what trending can do.
Okay, so I was gonna, okay, so let's back up for a second. I like to say, talk in dumb mayor terms. So, explain trending. What does trending mean? Cause obviously we see that on assessments and stuff, but what
Yeah.
does trending mean?
Well, values can trend
Okay,
depending on the market.
okay,
Typically, and for the longest time, we have not seen a trend down in values, obviously,
Yeah.
because of what the market started to do.
okay,
4 or 5 years ago, when the feds dropped the rates for
Yeah.
interest rates and the market went through the roof.
Yep.
That we had to trend our neighborhood factors up based off what our sales data was showing us, because what the Department of Local Government Finance wants to see when we submit ratio studies.
yes,
And that's the statistical side of our
Mhm.
values and our sales.
okay,
You have to fit within a certain, there are formulas you have to follow, and you have to fit within certain ratios to where what our sales are showing us
Yeah.
and where values have to be, and that's for every taxing unit.
gotcha. So the takeaway, and I think I'm probably starting to blend into the other questions we have, but, so, effectively, the trending is basing somebody's value, or a neighborhood of values, if you will, off of market sales data.
Correct, it's a mass appraisal system.
A mass appraisal system, okay, and
Yes.
that is again something that the state of Indiana has given to you to say this is the guideline in how to do assessments.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
nothing you decide locally?
No, no, and there again, that is totally sales driven. That is
Gotcha.
The trend, whatever trending tells us is a market adjustment.
Gotcha, so when someone sells their house for 25% over asking price, that's affecting trending?
Correct, if it's a valid
Yeah.
sale. State only allows us to use valid.
Valid sales,
Mhm.
okay, I'm gonna dig a little deeper. What is valid sales versus something else?
A valid sale would be, it has to be an arm's length transaction.
Okay,
No contiguous parcel
Okay.
ownership.
okay,
Can't be family.
okay,
Contracts are iffy as to
Mhm.
whether we can accept a contract sale
Yeah.
sometimes. All ag property transfers are not considered for trending because the state of Indiana sets the base rate on ag ground that does
Okay.
not represent market value.
gotcha.
So no ag sales come into trending at all.
So effectively, if a realtor sells a home, that's a valid. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's little twists and turns.
Yeah.
But if I go to my kid and say, hey, I'll sell you the property for 20,000, even though it's valued at 200,000, that is not
Correct.
a valid, okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's helpful to know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
then, so you are legitimately going off of retail, effectively, not retail, but, well, realtor sales, if you will, of you're selling a property from one person to another, they're not family, there's not any special, interactions there, it is a typical sale, those are the values that you're that you kinda conglomerate, and then that creates a trend.
Yes, all that sales data gets pulled, and then we look at where our values are
Yep.
for each neighborhood compared, and like I said, it's a mass appraisal system.
Yes,
So it's every sale in a neighborhood versus where our values are
oh, yeah.
as a neighborhood, and that's the trending part.
So on that, okay, again, not to dig too deep, but, so if someone lives on the, let's say, far northwest side of the city, and someone lives on the far southeast side of the city, the trending may be different for those two neighborhoods?
Correct, because we have several Columbia City as a whole has several neighborhoods of their own.
Gotcha, Okay.
Yeah, and then your biggest neighborhood in any township is going to be your ag and rural.
uh-huh,
Because when we established neighborhoods, way back when we had to go to market value, we first went with all of our platted subdivisions,
Yep.
that's your lakes and your municipalities.
Uh-huh.
And then you establish, you take out your commercial and industrial
Mhm.
because they have their own
Mhm.
neighborhoods.
Yep.
Then you're left with your residential neighborhoods that do not lie in those
In one of those areas, uh-huh.
And then you're left with your ag and rural neighborhood, which
Yep.
is gonna be the biggest neighborhood that we have in each
Gotcha.
township.
So, is Thorn Creek Township's ag different than Washington Township's ag from a neighborhood perspective, or are they all in the same boat?
No, they're different.
They're different, okay.
Yes.
So that's, and I think that's a really important thing for residents to understand is that you can live in this, two people can live within the city limits and have a different trending factor,
Absolutely.
right? I'm probably using the wrong terms,
Yep,
but hopefully that's right.
Across the road.
Across the road from each other,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they're in different neighborhoods.
Yes.
Okay, and the same thing would happen with county residents, depending on the township you live in, depending on the part of the township you live in, whatever that, all of that can change with that trending.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that if two residents were comparing their tax statements, that they may be different for a plethora of reasons?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And there again, I just wanna touch a little bit on
Yes.
the fact that we only deal with value.
Okay, yes.
Just assess value.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So, but this same answer applies.
Yes, yeah, I
Absolutely.
gotcha, okay.
Mhm.
So, got a little bit off course, but that's because of me, so thank you for all that information, and I'm sure I'll get back and forget something you just said. But, before we move on from the assessor's office, how many staff do you have? What's your hours, things like that?
We are three.
Three staff for a county of 35,000 people.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And I know that according to the guidelines, we are probably understaffed,
Mhm.
but I'm blessed with the staff I have. And, I thank the Lord every day that they haven't tucked their tails and
And ran, yeah.
I don't know how they
Yes.
stick around.
It's a tough racket right now, that's for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
so, yeah.
And we've gone from 3 to 1 and it happens.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so, I mean, we hump.
Yeah.
I mean, we do, to meet
Yeah.
our statutory deadlines.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. So, okay, so then now, again, as always, if you have questions about the process or about things that has been said, please go ahead and put it in the chat. If you're watching live on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, certainly can contact the assessor's office. Please be kind. Please be kind. The assessor's office has not had, I think it's fair to say, has not had a great maybe couple of months because of anger with the values and things to that effect. But again, I think one of the purposes I wanted to have in this conversation was for residents to understand that you guys just basically go off of a formula. Like, you guys aren't necessarily saying, like, hey, I don't like this person, so I'm gonna raise their assessed valuation by 100,000, but this person I like, so I'm gonna decrease. Like, you can't do that.
Oh,
Like,
no.
there is a formula, and so I just say that, you know, for those people that are watching, to say, like, understand that you guys are just doing what the state mandates you do, right?
Absolutely.
And so as we kind of get into that, I do want to ask the question of, like, why is assessing necessary in the property tax system? And maybe before you answer, I'll just say this. Remember that the amount of property taxes that you pay, that residents pay, is basically you take, and I'm gonna dumb this down really, really small, but you basically take the assessed valuation and you minus deductions, and then you times it by the tax rate of the different entities. So you could have library, you could have city, you could have county, you could have schools. Obviously schools make up a good portion of that too. So that's ultimately, in a very small nutshell, how you come up with your property tax bill. So talk about why is assessing necessary for the property tax process?
Well, there again, you know, that's written in our legislative laws,
Mhm.
that we have to establish values
Mhm.
for the real property, personal property, and annually assessable homes.
Yes.
And there is a statutory deadline where we have to roll those values to the auditor. Once we get our process done, and the appeal process is the biggie, because we're
Mhm.
trying to make changes right now, as many as what we can,
Yeah.
before we have to roll our values to the auditor by July 1st, because then we can just make the corrections in our system once we roll to the auditor.
Yeah.
set those values, then any changes we have to give to the auditor, so they get that value change made in their
Gotcha.
system.
So the state says you have to have the values of every property in Whitley County
Yep.
between, let's say, January 1st and July 1st, right? Is that what you said?
January to January.
January, well, I'm sorry, let me back up. That's not what I meant. What I meant is you start setting everything up January 1st, if
Yes.
you will, and you have until July whatever to get the values of homes in the previous
Correct.
year to the auditor.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yep, so, and then that, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Those are the gross values.
Mhm.
Prior to any deductions,
Mhm.
prior to everything that's housed in the tax system or the auditor applies deductions and credits and
Yep.
referendums and those
Yeah.
sort of things, and then that gives them their net value, they submit to the state. State determines then from that submission.
Yeah.
What we're gonna need, what they need to do rate-wise for budgetary needs.
Gotcha, okay. So ultimately, I think what's important for residents to understand is that the assessed valuation is effectively the baseline for all the properties and the
Yeah.
value, quote unquote, the value of all the properties. And then, once it gets sent over to the auditor, then all of the calculations take place of, hey, I have a senior deduction, hey, I have a veteran's
Yeah.
deduction, hey, I have a homestead or a supplemental, or all those other new home buyer, all those other deductions. And then, that's when they apply the tax rate for the entities, right? And here in Whitley County Consolidated Schools area, we passed a referendum for the new high school and some building improvements and stuff, so that's also applied in
Yes.
that and all that kind of stuff. But basically, the assessment is the baseline,
Yes.
right? It's the baseline.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, by the way, for those of you that stuck around during this conversation, thank you. You're the true heroes today, I think. Appreciate that. So explain the process of assessing homes. So what goes into the process? How do you guys do it? How's that done? What should residents know about the actual process
Yeah.
of assessing their land, their homes, their structures, etc.?
So the process that we start with annually every year, January 1,
Mhm.
new date of assessment, is the trending process, what we've already talked about, where we
Yep.
have to see if we have to make a market adjustment where our values are compared to what the sales data is showing us.
Okay.
That's the first step.
Okay.
And then we submit sales data to the state every February 1st. This is all part of the beginning of the budgetary cycle. So what goes into assessing property? Then we've got our cyclical reassessment that's in there, that we're also mandated to visit the properties one time in a 4-year cycle.
Okay, so every property in Whitley County has to be physically visited
Yeah.
one time every 4 years?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct, and this is statewide.
that's statewide, okay.
And so from that reassessment visit, we are looking at grade condition. We're gonna verify your structures are
Sure.
correct to the plus or minus.
Mhm.
Make sure we have everything on that property record card that we should or shouldn't.
Yeah.
And adjustments can be made at that time during reassessment. That comes back to us. We do all the data entry necessary for that. Our building permits. Every
Mhm.
building permit that planning and building
Yeah.
takes, we receive in.
Gotcha.
We're contracted with our vendor to assist to go out and pick up all new construction.
Okay.
We handle demoing of buildings as
Yeah.
well. And your land values are going to be established based off what market is showing
Okay.
us. You know, there's a land order that has to be presented to the PETA-BOA board
Yep.
annually and be sent to the state every year.
Okay.
That's base rates depending on what sales show us.
Gotcha.
Other than ag ground, because
Okay.
the state of Indiana sets the base rate on the ag ground, we do not.
Okay, I'm gonna pause you for a second, just so I have an understanding. Is there a difference in value from a piece of land that has a structure on it, not including the structure's value, a piece of land that has a structure on it versus a piece of, let's say, residential property that doesn't have a structure on it yet?
It can.
It can have a difference.
In our platted areas.
Yeah.
Let's say, vacancy factors were a big thing many, many years ago,
Okay.
decades ago.
Yeah.
That if a property was under improved, we
Mhm.
have an option to put an under improved vacancy factor on that reduces that assessed value because it's
Gotcha.
not improved.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So so actually does matter whether there's structure on it or not?
Yeah.
It impacts the value, okay.
More so on the platted lots, not
Yes.
necessarily our residential properties that are assessed per acre.
I see what you're saying. Okay, and then also going back to the cyclical
Yeah.
assessments, so you have every 1/4 of all property in the county has to be physically visited by the assessor or an assessor's contract or whatever, once every 4 years. But I think you've told me in the past that it's not as easy as saying one quarter, because you have to do 1/4, if you will, of all commercial, and 1/4 of all industrial, and 1/4 of all residential, and 1/4 of all ag. Is that right?
That is true,
Okay.
and the DLGF has gotten a little bit better, because it used to be you could only we submit monthly status reports to
Yes.
the DLGF.
Yep.
We're required to do that on the 10th of each month.
Okay.
Once cyclical reassessment starts May 1. And
Gotcha.
then we have to be 100% complete, there's
Yes.
phases.
Okay,
So, that runs, through October, and then, or end of August to October, and then December. And
Yes.
ideally, you should be all data collection done or
Mhm.
reviewed, and data entered by December 31st.
Okay.
To
Okay.
become 100% compliant
Gotcha.
with reassessment.
okay,
And so, during that process, then, the vacant parcels that we
Mhm.
have, obviously, we don't go
Yeah.
to every
yeah,
vacant parcel.
yeah,
But yes,
I
that
gotcha.
is true, because they've gotten a little bit more lenient with the fact that it used to be you could only submit on your monthly status reports so many resis and so many ags
Oh,
and so
wow.
many commercial
Yeah.
and exempts, and
yeah,
now they've kinda worked with us better, because number one, with Columbia City, we have to divide Columbia City up in that 4-year
Sure.
cycle, because we would be over,
and the other ones,
yeah,
where
so-
we have a good portion of the commercial
Yep.
portion specifically, or, we make up 30%, I think, of the total county's population, so
Yeah.
you have a housing value there and all those kind of things, not to mention obviously all the government property that doesn't get assessed.
Yeah.
But I just say all that to say, so it's not as easy as saying, we're gonna take these 2 or 3 townships, and then we're gonna take these 2 or 3 townships. It's not that easy. You have to, it's almost like you're dividing among the dividers.
Yes,
So,
because when you look at our actual reassessment schedule,
Yeah.
we may only be doing so many ag parcels,
yes, yeah,
and in a single township, but then that township's resi parcels won't get done until the next year's pass.
mhm.
So each township is could be divided out over that
I was
4
gonna
years.
say, I've gotta imagine that has gotta be like a record-keeping nightmare.
Well, I'm not really,
Not really? Well, you guys probably have it down to a really clear system, but I'm just thinking to myself, okay, so if you have to get 1/4 of all houses, and 1/4 of all commercial, and 1/4 of all industrial, and 1/4 of all ag, and again, you can't say like, hey, we're gonna do Thorn Creek and Columbia Township this year, we're gonna do this, that, because everybody is not spread out equally.
Yeah.
So like, it's probably a lot of a numbers game along the whole way.
it's, we can designate in our system, in our CAMA system, which
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about our Exoff system.
Yeah.
But we're able to designate by review year
Oh, okay.
within that 4-year cycle. So you click a review year and you pull up your parcels
Yeah.
and you assign
Yeah.
what review year we're going to do these parcels.
Gotcha,
You
okay.
can do it by property class, by residential
Yeah.
improved, unimproved, commercial, industrial, and ag.
Gotcha, okay. So computer programs really help that,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, did we cover all the, kind of the process of assess? I don't know that we finished that.
Pretty
I
much,
got off
I
task
think
a
so,
little bit here,
yeah,
but.
I mean,
But so if people are, let's say, are you guys doing your assessments right now? Are you driving around, or
Yeah.
is there, okay, that's
Yeah.
happening right now. Okay, so what should John Q. Citizen know about what to expect? Like, are they gonna see people coming onto their property? Are they gonna see, like, are they gonna have marks? Or, like, if someone pulls up and starts walking around their property, should they have a badge, or should they have something? So what should residents know about that piece?
yes, they have county identification badges, just like we have as employees
I gotcha.
for the county.
So if residents see somebody walking on their property, they can ask to see
Yes.
that badge?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep, we have magnets. They usually will wear a vest, like looks like a worker's,
like
like
a
a
traffic
fluorescent,
control
yeah,
vest of some sort,
or
okay.
yellow, not all the time do
Yeah.
they have them with
Sure.
them, but then we have the make and model of all vehicles, and I
Ah.
notify the sheriff's department and the
Gotcha,
city
city,
when
yep.
they're out and
Ah,
about, and what
okay.
townships they're working
Yeah.
in and everything, so yeah.
So if anybody has any questions, if somebody says, hey, I'm on your property to assess your property or whatever, right? number one, they can ask for visual identification, but also if they have questions, they can actually call your office
Yep.
probably and say, hey, this person said, is that true, right?
Happens all the time.
And we do that a lot also, by the way, on door-to-door marketing, right? If someone comes to your house and says, hey, I'm selling X, Y, and Z, you can actually call City Hall and find out whether or not they're on the list and they're, that they've done their registration. There are a few caveats to that the legislature opted out, but that's a whole different story for a different day, so. Okay, so the next question is probably, I don't know if it's the most complicated one to answer because it's probably everything, but what state mandates have affected this process?
Well,
That's a really broad question. I think I know the answer to it, but still.
Well, it started 4 or 5 years ago with the increase in the housing market, like what we've seen.
Yes.
With how, because.
The post-COVID thing?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and that was a real challenging time
Sure.
for all 92 counties.
Mhm.
And what our sales started doing, because our cost tables had not been adjusted at that time, the only fluctuation that we had or manipulation that we could do was
Yeah.
in our neighborhood factors.
Gotcha.
Because the sales were coming through so high, so there's the sales portion of that trending
Yep,
process.
yep.
But values were not reflecting where they needed to be.
Okay.
According to what the sales were showing. That's what caused our neighborhood factors that get applied to dwellings only.
Yes.
To go through the roof.
So again, though, that was something that, again, the state says, here's your cost table. So when you say cost tables, that's not something we necessarily said. That's something that comes down from the state of Indiana that says,
Yeah.
here's what you need to know. And so the only real adjustment that you guys you have the ability to do is the neighborhood factoring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so then after obviously COVID, all the materials skyrocketed, pricing went through the roof, houses that were 150,000 all of a sudden were now 250 and 300,000. Homes that were 200 are now selling for 500,000, just it goes crazy. So then more things happen along the way.
Yeah, then, of course, the past few years.
Yeah.
And it's been a study
Mhm.
that has been done by the DLGF.
Yeah.
Because of the increase in building materials,
Mhm.
inflation there, building costs, our replacement costs new, because we're mandated, that's part of our formula, is what will it cost you today to build this structure? And that is written in our cost
Yeah.
guidelines to establish a replacement cost new, and that is after you assess for the square footage of the home.
Yeah.
What you have for garages, your foundation, air conditioning, fireplaces, and then we put a grade factor in there, whatever
Mhm.
the grade factor is, the location multiplier that the state sets
Yeah.
with where you lie in proximity to
Yeah.
Marion County. And then that all gets applied, gives you the replacement cost new. That wasn't reflective of what inflation has done, which has
Gotcha.
been the study that they've been doing and why we're seeing the increase in our cost tables.
So, one of the comments I hear a lot, and I'm sure you do as well, is I've done nothing to my house over the last 5 years, and yet the assessed value has gone up X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
And what I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I hear you saying is that one of the factors the state mandates you guys to institute into the assessed valuation is replacement cost.
Yes.
And so as a brand new house that used to cost $150,000 to build is now $300,000 to build, that same kind of, I'll use the word trending, which is probably not a good term in this one, but the way that has multiplied has impacted John Q. Citizens Assessed Valuation, because to replace that home
Yep.
would be much, much more than when it was originally built,
Yes,
right?
correct.
And so you have older homes that have really had no changes to them, that they've seen assessed valuation growth significantly, just like everybody has. But at the end of the day, again, I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier, that is not something that you all have set. You're just going off of the factors that you have to do by the state mandate,
Yes.
right?
Because when those cost tables are changed, then our software vendors
Mhm.
have to download those cost schedules
Yeah.
into our state-approved software.
Right.
And that's all 92 counties.
Yeah.
So that update got done this
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
which this year's increases were way more than what we could have even anticipated them
Yeah.
going that high.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Gotcha.
the reason. We actually trended down neighborhood factors this
Mhm,
year. All of
mhm.
our neighborhood factors went down based on sales.
Oh, okay.
But, what the cost tables have
That
done.
came down from the state,
Mhm.
that's what really accelerated the
Yes.
AV boost, if you will, for houses.
Yes.
Oh my, okay, so that's a lot to unpack, but I think it's really important to understand that if you guys actually, because of retail, or because of sales data, you actually have, you've moved down the neighborhood
Yeah.
factors. So your office actually has helped the assessed valuation, that if you had kept it at where it was, it probably would even be higher than what they already got. That's
Yeah.
what I hear you
Yeah.
saying. But the reason why a lot of AV has, assessed valuation for homes has grown is because the cost tables grew dramatically as well.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so that's a lot. But I'm gonna get to something that probably most people are really asking, and that is, what should a resident do if they disagree with their assessment? Besides complain and yell at you, what is other
Yeah.
things which we ask you not to do? What is
Yes.
something someone can do if they disagree with what the property is being assessed at?
There is a Form 130. First of all, I would suggest you call.
Call
Let's-
your office?
Call our office or
Yep.
come in.
Yep.
Let's look at your data.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we have a mistake.
Yeah,
Maybe we have something, an objective change that we have wrong.
sure.
Maybe there's wrong square footage, maybe
Mhm.
it's not that big of a garage, maybe you don't have air conditioning,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. And then, if there's something we need to change, that might resolve the
Yeah.
issue there for
Sure.
someone.
Yeah.
If that's not the case and they still feel that their total, and it's the total of land and structures that you have to appeal,
Yes.
that you feel is not a fair marketable value.
So you can't just say my land is assessed incorrectly, it's total land and structures.
The purpose for appealing is the total of land and structures.
Okay, okay,
Mhm.
okay,
So the 130 can be filed,
okay,
and we will run more than likely a comp analysis from our system.
Yep.
That pulls sales from 2025
Mhm.
for this year's appeal, because that's the year that we're working with.
gotcha,
We use 2025 sales and trending.
yep,
And we will pull sales from that neighborhood that the
Mhm.
subject home is in.
Okay.
See where that comp analysis comes
Yep.
back, and see if we can make a change that way. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't.
mm-hmm,
For the most part, people who appeal then will provide their own market, we ask that they do a market analysis.
Yep.
Which doesn't usually, if it costs, it's not gonna be like an appraisal, we never
Yeah.
tell people to get an appraisal.
Yes, yes.
Because an appraisal's expensive.
Yes.
But some people have had them for
Gotcha.
refinance purposes,
Ah,
or maybe
yeah.
estate purposes.
So that is an acceptable form, but it's not or acceptable, I'll say method, that's not what I mean, but that's something you guys would accept
Yes.
as a part of it, but it's not mandated. It could be as easy as just maybe going to a realtor or whoever and say, hey, tell me what my market is in this neighborhood or whatever.
Yes.
Okay,
And we most always will make a change based off of that information they provide.
gotcha. And then, I think this is maybe, well, let me back up. Okay, so let's say I wanna appeal my assessment, right? I've come into you guys, to your office has said, everything's straight on our side, we don't have any flaws, any issues, any errors. I go out, get a market analysis, I come back and that market analysis says, that, you know, the market is, that maybe mine is on the high side. You guys have the ability to then adjust it down because there's been proof. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah.
Okay, what if the market doesn't say that, and the market says, no, my house is in the right area, or the right value area, but I still don't like it? Then what's my next option, if I have another option?
Well, I will not personally, because statute says
Yes.
that the assessor does have the authority, more so the PETA Board.
Okay,
Let's say that we don't,
that's where I
yes.
that's where I was going
More-
next, so.
More so that,
Okay.
I would never, if you turned in a market analysis
Yeah.
to me or any taxpayer.
Yeah.
And it showed, believe me, we had a taxpayer down in, Jefferson, down in that
Yeah.
southeast corner
Yeah.
by a Boyd.
Yep.
She called, really honked off a few years ago because we didn't have her assessed high enough. She wanted her value taken up.
I bet those are few and far between, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Probably getting ready to sell the property, I'm
Yeah,
guessing, but anyways,
right.
yes.
But I would never increase value from that.
Yeah.
I might take a look at what comps they provided,
Mhm.
but let's say you appeal.
Yep.
We don't make a change for you during the informal hearing time.
Sure.
And you have one of two options.
Okay.
You have an option to withdraw, or you have an option to proceed to the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals, known as the PETA-BOA.
PETA-BOA.
And,
PTBOA.
yep,
PETA-BOA.
and this say the board looks at your evidence, they look at our evidence, and they're like, well, you're under assessed. PETA-BOA does have the authority to increase
To
value.
increase it, okay, so it's a little bit of a gamble, is what I hear you
Mhm.
saying. Not necessarily to try to dissuade people from going, but to understand that PETA-BOA has the ability to look at the entirety of the situation and to say, you know, you're at the right amount, you actually should be lower or should be higher,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Mhm.
And I, if I remember correctly, cause I do get reports from you about within the city limits and stuff.
Yeah.
The appeals within the city limits. If I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but about 90-some percent, probably higher than that, probably 95% of appeals get handled within the office before the PETA-BOA. Is that
Yes,
fair?
Yes.
So a lot of, again, and I think, you know, I think you and your office has been very good about doing the balance between, do the individuals coming in have a valid concern, rather than just, I don't wanna pay this much, but
Mhm.
again, is it based on the market, did we get off a little bit on the market, things like that, and I think you've been able to address a lot of those things when they have proof.
Yes.
But when they come in guns a-blazing with no proof and just say, I don't wanna pay this much, that's not a good enough reason by state statute for you to adjust it.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, number one, we do try and resolve as many, because
Yeah.
and the PETA-BOA process is a costly process
Mm-hmm,
for taxpayers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of having the board come in.
mm-hmm,
Board has to be paid a per diem.
yep.
You have to do legal publication, you have to issue notices 30 days in advance of
Mm-hmm,
of the
mm-hmm.
hearing. So, I mean, there's a cost there
Yep.
for the county
Yep.
involved. And last year, I think we had 80-some appeals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we sent 4 that wanted to go to the board.
I was gonna say, and I know the PETA-BOA board, or the PETA-BOA meetings are live on YouTube, like
Yep.
you live stream them, they are a public meeting, all those kind of things and stuff, and, I mean, again, the other thing about going to the PETA-BOA is there's probably some semi-private information that has to be shared during that when it comes to values of property. I say semi-private as in, like, it's not, like, it's public information, but you have to get down to the nitty-gritty of the finances and the pro and con of that. That's whole, I think the whole purpose of the PETA-BOA is to take all the information and then make a determination, right? So,
PETA-BOA is privy to income and expense data if it's a commercial
if it's commercial property,
but that is not public knowledge.
Gotcha, that's what I thought, okay, so, but they don't talk about that at
No,
PETA-BOA, okay,
No,
okay.
they do not. And I will say, even, we have had some
Yep.
that PETA-BOA did not make a determination for.
Oh,
And, or by lowering value.
uh-huh,
And they have stated on the record that, you know, really honestly, you're probably under what
gotcha.
is market value.
Okay,
But our board has
based
never.
on income,
But,
but,
well, or sale,
Oh,
off the market
oh, off the
information.
market, gotcha,
If it's
okay.
a residential property.
yes,
But our board has never increased that,
I gotcha, okay. Even though they have that ability,
even though they have.
they have that ability, but, okay. Okay, last call for questions. If you have questions, go ahead and put them, if you're watching live on Facebook, put them in the chat. If you are on YouTube, again, you can contact Kim's office, which actually brings me to my next question, which is, how can residents contact your office?
Well, we're available Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
So they can always come in.
Okay, and that's where?
Second floor of the Government
County
Center,
Government Center,
Suite
uh-huh.
202, where
Mhm.
the office everybody loves that overlooks Van Buren, so.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, the only end office on the second floor.
okay.
Or they can email, our email addresses are available on our assessor homepage.
Okay, so they can go to, Whitley County
Whitleygov.com.
Gov.com, okay.
Mhm.
I know there was a switch and I can never remember which one is right. Usually I just get redirected anyways, but, so they can go onto the, Whitleygov.com.
And go to the assessor's homepage.
Go to the assessor's page, and they can find out information. They can get your phone number, your email addresses, all that kind of stuff, and get in touch with you if they have questions. Stopping in is probably more helpful. If you come in with a great attitude, by the way, helpful, productive attitude, we would
Yeah.
request. But that's probably the best, because then you guys can handle it right there, right?
Right.
And you can say, here's your options, and lay it out, and so I think that's a really valuable benefit for residents, is that you are available
Yes.
again, and it's a public office, and all those kind of good
Right.
things, so. Okay, we have covered a lot today. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
your,
you.
everything you've done, and all the stuff, and all the information, and there's been multiple times I think I came to you and went, okay, try to explain this to me, because I don't understand how this process works. I always learn something when I'm having a conversation with you about this process, because it is, I'm gonna use the word convoluted, but it's so complicated. It's just, there's so many things that go into it. So anyways, the last thing I'll ask you is there anything else that the public should know about you or your office or the process that maybe we've not covered, or anything that they should, I guess, know as they continue to, as they get their assessment bill, their property tax assessments and all that kind of stuff?
Just the fact that we are more than willing to explain
Yeah.
and put an explanation to any questions they may have. Go over their property record card. Their property record cards are also available on Beacon. So
Okay.
those are 2026 cards are on Beacon,
Yep.
so that's public knowledge.
Yep,
I would encourage anybody to look over their assessment,
Yep.
front to back, and if you have a question, come in, let's talk about it.
Yep.
We can pull up parcels on pictometry, and we can look at an aerial
Yeah.
view if you got questions on what buildings you
Mhm.
may be assessed
Mhm.
for. Again, I just cannot thank my staff enough,
Mhm.
because I can't do it alone,
Yeah.
and there's no I, there's a we. And
I can relate a lot
Yeah.
to that, Kim, yes.
And our contracted vendor, because they are wonderful, we don't have the financial backing
Mhm.
to be able to house that many employees in
Yeah.
our office for what it would take to do what we have to do.
Yes.
So our vendor is extremely important and a vital part of everything we do.
Sure.
And I'm proud to do what I do.
Yeah.
And you wanna be able to serve people properly, and
Mhm.
so I'm very passionate about what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very passionate.
What's your phone number for your office?
260-248-3109.
3109. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We are going to do the normal Lunch with the Mayor on June 12th at noon, so I hope you'll tune into that. Other than that, thank you, Kim. Appreciate all
Thank
your
you.
work, and again, we'll see you all later. We don't have any questions, so thanks everybody. Have a good rest of the day. We'll see you later.
Thank you.